Welcome guys to another tutorial. We're bringing to you the clean tutorial today. My name is Chris, I'm going to do the explaining, and with me I have Sam, who's going to do the demonstration. Arguably the clean is one of the most useful techniques and movements for CrossFit, and to do it well you have to have certain prerequisites positioning wise and also technique wise, like motor control and speed capabilities for the clean to do a proper one. The most useful technique for the clean is, or the most useful variation for CrossFit is the power clean, because it's not just a means to an end, we can also use it for lunges when we have to bring the barbell to the front rack position. We have to use it when we do shoulder to overhead, when we have to bring the bar to the overhead position. Or just in regular workouts when we have to do the clean by itself in all its variations. We're going to run you through a step-by-step progression for the power clean with the most important positions first, and then we're going to add a speed component. So make sure to nail the positions first, and then you can add movement, you can add speed, and you can add more weight. But in the first place, we want to be safe and use less weight, maybe an empty barbell or just a PVC pipe to practice those positions. The first position we're going to talk over is the starting position. Every time we have to pick up the barbell from the floor, we have to go into the starting position. When viewed from the side, the shoulder is slightly in front of the bar, the hips are lower than the shoulders, and the knees are lower than the hips. Our weight is slightly on the forefoot, not on the back of the heels. The arms are long and our grip is slightly above shoulder width, which becomes very important for the front rack position later. To separate the barbell from the floor now, we want to use our legs and drive with the legs into the floor. Sammy is going to demonstrate. Now he's just going to do the first pull. He's extending the legs into the floor and bringing the barbell up to his mid-thigh position. And now come back down and do it 2 more times. When you initiate the movement with your legs, try to imagine to push away the floor with your legs, to really engage the front of your legs. Okay, relax. Thank you. Another way you can think of moving the barbell is bring the barbell where your shins were in the first place. So your knees are coming back and the barbell is moving up. The next position starts where this position or this movement ends. It's the hang position. Another useful technique we use for CrossFit and also another useful position for the clean. When we enter the hang position from the floor, we usually bring up the barbell to the hips with a clean deadlift and then lower it until we're in the, like right above the knee. The points of performance for the hang positions are the weight is in the heels. The shins are almost vertical. You can see that in relation to the floor. The shins are stacked. The shoulders are slightly in front of the bar when viewed from profile, and the upper back is nice and engaged while the arms are staying long. From the hang position, Sam is going to move to the power position now, where he's pushing his hips and legs through and has the bar on his hips. Repeat that process a couple of times, like 3 more reps. As you can see, he still has long arms and engaged upper back, and he's driving with the legs. Okay, and relax and bring the bar down. The last position we're going to cover with the long arms and the bar at our hips is the power position. We just briefly showed it at the end of the hang position, and Sam is going to enter it again. For the power position, we have slightly bent legs, we have slightly bent hips, and the upper body is very upright. An upright upper body is very important in this position because the position of the upper body determines the trajectory of the barbell. If you're leaning back too far, the barbell will go back. If you're leaning forward too far, the barbell will go forward. When we finished our clean, we always finish in the front rack position. For the front rack position, we have certain mobility requirements, but this is something for another video to explain with the right mobility drills and the right stretches to get into the position. But now Sam is just going to demonstrate the front rack position. For the front rack position, we have a relaxed grip on the barbell. We have our hands just outside of our shoulders. This is also varying with body segment ratios. For example, if you have very long forearms, your front rack position might look different than Sam's front rack position. So not everyone is the same, and there are a lot of individual differences. The elbows are nice and high, and the gaze is always forward. So we're like in a straight line, the hips are stacked over the knees, the shoulders are stacked over the hips. This is always the position we want to finish in with every clean. Okay, and relax. Now we're going to add some speed. When we're attempting the clean first, most errors happen when we lift the bar from the floor, so when we initiate the movement. And to avoid making errors there, we just slow the movement down and accelerate when it matters. And it always matters to accelerate after the bar has passed the knees. It's the most difficult part of the lift to get the bar around the knees, so we're going to do it slowly and with a lot of control. So Sam is going to demonstrate a full power clean now, but he's moving slowly in the beginning. Okay, do 2 more. As you can see, he's moving the bar close to the body, and when he's entering the mid-thigh position, he's accelerating by pushing the legs and transitioning into the receiving position. Okay, and relax. This is the basic points of performance for the power clean. Now we covered most positions that are relevant for the power clean, and the better you get in those positions and the stronger you get in those positions, the more speed you can add. Obviously, there are millions of different variations for the power clean to train in, but one of our most favorites is the free position power clean. Because the free position power clean just means we're doing 1 clean out of each of the positions. And we always want them to get progressively harder. For example, if we start in the power position, it's very hard to get something wrong because we only have to focus on 1 position. Then we move on to the hang position, which is a little more complex, and we have a little more leeway to accelerate the barbell. And the last is from the floor. Sam is going to demonstrate a free position power clean from the top. So we pick up the barbell with a nice clean deadlift, enter the power position, and now push with the legs, fast elbows. Okay, come back to the knee, the hang position. Okay, and the last one from the floor. All right, and relax. Obviously, there are even more variations of the free position power clean, but this is the technical one we like to use with the power position, the hang position, and the start position. When you can master these, you can improve your power clean or your clean in general very quickly, because there's high carryover to the whole movement when you can do all the parts very well. Obviously, with the movement as complex as the clean, a lot of things can go wrong. Now we're going to show you the 3 most common errors we see and how to correct them. The first one is setting up in a wrong starting position. The 2 things or the 2 schemes we see here is the hips are either too low or too high. When the hips are too high, we're mostly using our back, and we struggle to get into a nice position to set us up for the second pull after we've passed the knees. And if the hips are too low, we only can use the legs and can't engage our hips. This is this correct starting position, and this distributes the weight evenly to our legs and our hips and our back. The second most common error we see is pulling with the arms too early. Sam is going to demonstrate it now. Pulling, do a couple more, do like 2 more. Okay, thank you. You always have to think that your arms and shoulders are way smaller muscles in comparison to your hips and legs. That's why you want to use and utilize the muscles on the front of your legs and on the back of your legs, like your posterior chain, like your back muscles, and not just your arms and shoulders. Pulling with the arms too early takes your lower body out of the equation and puts more stress on your upper body, which reduces the amount of weight you can lift and also makes the movement very inefficient, which is obviously bad for CrossFit workouts. The last most common error we see is catching with the hips in front. So now he's leaning back. Do one more. This is not a very stable and athletic receiving position, and we want to avoid this by pushing our hips back in the receiving position to do a nice and correct power clean. Sam is going to demonstrate it now. What we mean with an athletic position is, do another one. That the hips are back, the elbows are nice in front, the chest is tall, and the gaze is always straight up front. Now we've covered everything we wanted to cover for our power clean tutorial today. I think when you just started out with CrossFit or like with weightlifting, you will be busy practicing those techniques, those positions and those drills we've just showed you. And you have a lot of things to work on, mobility-wise, positioning-wise, and also motor control or like moving-wise. Obviously, there are a lot of more things to cover, so stay tuned for future tutorials on the clean, power clean and other weightlifting movements. Thank you.